Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday morning. I'm going to try to get the glare out of this one. This is the book we're starting today. It's my key to Solomon's Key. Is this the lost symbol of Masonry? Or if you've got the first edition, the subtitle is Secrets of Magic and Masonry. So I've got my Scottish Rite baseball cap on today. Most Masons that you'll see running around in public nowadays are usually dressed pretty casually, and baseball caps are are more common than any other form of regalia. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this. The publisher is CCC. Uh, and it's available both in paperback like this and in Kindle. So I guess the easiest way and the fastest way, if you'd like to follow along, would be to get it from Amazon. And I'm sure the publisher would even be happier than I, or just the same, if you would uh, decide to actually buy this someday. Anyway, I have a preface in it that I used to introduce somebody else's book, and I've already read that preface to you when I read Allow Me to Introduce. So I'm not going to make you listen to that preface again. And there's a wonderful introduction and an afterwards to this book by my friends uh, James Wasserman and Mark Stavish. And Mark Stavish wrote the afterword. So uh, I'm going to not read those at the moment and jump right to the text as it was originally written. Here's my author's disclaimer. Although I'm a proud member of the Masonic fraternity and an active member of several occult societies, I'm not in any way acting as a spokesperson for any organization. The thoughts and opinions and conclusions I've drawn in this book are entirely my own and have not been sanctioned, encouraged, or endorsed by any organization. So, and I have a list of acknowledgments which are uh, pretty routine, but I wanted to especially thank Professor Thomas L. Thompson, professor of Old Testament at the University of Copenhagen, who was very helpful uh, in answering my questions and drawing certain conclusions concerning the historicity of Bible history. So, that being said, I hope you're in for a treat. My prologue. The Kryptos. Kryptos. The Kryptos. And the epigram is, they will be able to read what I wrote, but what I wrote is a mystery itself. And that's a quote from James Sanborn, the creator of the Kryptos. What's the Kryptos? You're about to find out. A most unusual work of art adorns the main entrance and courtyard of the new headquarters building of the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, in Langley, Virginia, near Washington, D.C. It is a multifaceted sculpture made of lodestone, polished red granite, quartz, copper plate, and petrified wood. It was commissioned in November 1988 as part of the Art in Architecture program of the General Services Administration. The task of selecting the artist fell to a joint committee of members of the CIA Fine Arts Council. Yes, the CIA has a Fine Arts Council. And the National Endowment for the Arts, who chose local artist James Sanborn, a Washington, D.C. native, to receive $250,000 commission to execute the design he called Kryptos, Greek for hidden. Mr. Sanborn certainly did his homework preparing the design and materials for his work that is intended to serve as an elaborate example of the art of information encryption. He studied for months with retired CIA cryptographer Ed Scheidt before setting to work on the sculpture that incorporates a 12-foot copper scroll punched through with thousands of letters. Since its unveiling in 1990, professional and amateur cryptographers have been obsessed with its solution. But interest in the Kryptos reached a fever pitch in 2003 when best-selling author Dan Brown hid references to it on the dust jacket of his wildly popular The Da Vinci Code. About 75% of the Kryptos has now been deciphered. Amid tantalizing quotes from the diary of Howard Carter, discoverer of Tutankhamun's tomb, are references that suggest that something important is buried on the grounds of CIA headquarters. The deciphered code suggests only, quote, WW, unquote, and that's a reference to former CIA Director William Webster. Only WW knows the precise location. Unfortunately, Webster obviously doesn't think much of the secret treasure, or at least that's what he would have us believe. Since leaving the agency, he told reporters, "I have zero memory of this. It was philosophical and obscure." For those of us who are passionately interested in things philosophical and obscure, Webster's words come as no surprise, and even less a deterrent to speculation. Indeed, for anyone who cares to investigate the entire city of Washington, D.C., the curious and precise layout of her streets, the sacred geometry of her civic buildings and monuments that teem with Masonic and occult symbolism, all present a gigantic mystery in stone, a mystery that reaches back to the birth of our nation and principles and traditions upon which it was founded. It's no secret that many of the founding fathers of the United States were Freemasons. 16% of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, 33% of the signers of the Constitution, George Washington, and a full 46% of the generals in the Continental Army were members of the fraternity. The cornerstone of the U.S. Capitol building was laid with full Masonic ceremony by George Washington himself, arrayed in full Masonic regalia. Masonry's influence goes beyond the lodge room. 14 American presidents were Freemasons, and so were nearly 2/3 of all the Supreme Court justices. Our language is peppered with Masonic terms and phrases. On the level, square deal, eavesdrop, blackball, shibboleth. When police roughly interrogate a suspect, they are said to give him the third degree. When a judge or a chairman of a meeting uses a gavel, or when we are called upon to swear on the Bible, even when we shake hands to seal a deal, we are using Masonic devices. Indeed, until 1827, when a scandal tarred the fraternity's reputation, Freemason was, for all intent and purposes, America's civic religion. Masonry is still alive in the 21st century, and for the time being remains the world's largest fraternal order. As a service organization, it's one of the most generous charitable institutions in the world, donating more than $1 million a day to various charities. There's no question, however, that her roles are swiftly diminishing. In a fast-paced new millennium, Masonic membership is no longer considered a requirement for men of business or political ambition. Numbers, however, can be deceiving. While it's true that Masonic lodges are closing daily and fewer men are attracted to the fraternity, a significant number of those who are joining are passionately interested in the esoteric and mystical aspects of the craft, subjects that have been ignored, misunderstood, even ridiculed by the vast majority of their brethren who came of Masonic age in the 20th century. These young esoteric Masons do not view the craft as just another service club with quaint traditions and ceremonies. They do not enter her ageless and sacred doors in order to exploit opportunities for business or political networking. They come on a personal spiritual quest to be initiated into the Western mystery tradition. Some, including myself, go so far as to view our involvement in the craft as a magical initiation. The term initiation is often misunderstood. It's not merely an ordeal of passage or a formal induction ceremony. It's a new beginning, an awakening, a step we take when we've made the conscious decision to move forward and become more than we are. While spiritual in nature, initiation differs from religion in a very fundamental way. In my book, Angels, Demons, and Gods of the New Millennium, I try to explain, and here's a short excerpt. Initiation is a commencement, not a reward for achievement, not a seal of attainment, not a trophy of adeptship. Initiation is a beginning. And when we evoke a beginning, we also by necessity conjure an ending. Death is the inevitable penalty we pay for allowing ourselves to be born. And the honor of life's journey between these two great pylons is the only compensation offered for this fate. The uninitiated invoke neither birth nor life nor death. Like sleepwalkers, our numbed steps bear us comatose from cradle to grave. Our pale shadow lives pantomime but never experience the adventures of the initiate's journey. Like other mammals, we're born and live and die, but unless we make a conscious effort to wake up, unless we harness and focus the power of our wills to take the first step towards spiritual renewal, we will not, as Homer sang, receive our share of the right. We will not have the same lot as the initiate once we are dead and dwell in the mold where the sun goes down. That's from Homer's hymn to Demeter. Prostitution may be the oldest profession in the world, but the oldest spiritual institution is most certainly the initiatory society. To those who would argue that religion holds this august position, I must respectfully disagree. Religion merely haunts the outer courts of the great initiatory temple and holds mystery at arm's length. From the occasional thread of truth carried by the wind from the initiatory chamber, religion psychotically weaves and reweaves doctrines and dogma, tapestries of hope, hate, and perpetual distraction. Religion exalts mystery as an unknowable secret that must be sealed in glass like the corpse of an enchanted princess and fearfully worshipped from afar. Initiation, on the other hand, requires direct participation and demands each of us to smash the casket and press mad lips to mystery, wooing her as a lover who will offer up her treasures in a succession of sweet surrenders. This she will do, but only in exact ratio to our evolving ability and worthiness to receive him. For this new generation of Masonic initiates, the secrets of the craft are not the steps and signs and tokens and secret passwords of a quaint service organization, but concern a fundamentally more profound secret concerning the history of civilization and the nature of the human soul. A treasure hidden for centuries, a mystery waiting to be brought to light by anyone bold enough to draw the veil. The particularly decoded Kryptos teases us with a thrilling and poignant taste of the ecstasy of such a discovery by quoting from the diary of archaeologist Howard Carter, the discoverer of Tutankhamun. And this is from the Kryptos. It's a quote from Carter. At first I could see nothing. The hot air escaping from the chamber caused the candle to flicker. But as my eyes grew accustomed to the gloom, presently details of the room within emerged slowly from the mist. Strange statues and animals and gold, everywhere the glint of gold. For the moment, an eternity it must have seemed to those standing by, I was struck dumb with amazement. And when Lord Carnarvon, unable to stand the suspense any longer, inquired anxiously, "Can you see anything?" It was all I could do to get the words out. Yes, wonderful things. Masonry's rituals, symbols, and traditions stand like the cryptos. A partially decoded, multi-layered mystery that offers the magical promise of wonderful things, and a supreme spiritual treasure for those brave souls who are not only willing to dig, but sufficiently prepared to understand and appreciate the full impact of a great secret. And that's where we'll stop today. Tomorrow we'll go to chapter 1. I confess, I'm a Freemason. So until tomorrow, start your weekend early. Start it right now by being good to yourself and good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.